Picture this. You're in front of your latest prospect, closing the biggest deal of your life. Your pitch decks were perfect. Your scripts, flawless. And when the time came to answer the golden question of, are you ready to move forward? Nothing happened. For everyone who loves sales, this is their worst nightmare. But fear not, because in this podcast, we're unraveling the enigma behind those missed opportunities. From appointments that evaporate to presentations that felt like a Broadway show but ended in awkward silence, we're dissecting it all. Welcome to Love Your Sales.
This podcast is presented by GenHead. GenHead leverages AI so small and medium-sized businesses can find their ideal clients to make more sales. Other companies talk about AI, but we are using it every day to drive down marketing costs and increase revenue. Learn more at genhead.com. That's genhead.com.
Welcome to another episode of Love Your Sales. I am so excited today. I am joined by Ryan Chute, the Wizard of Ads, a visionary in entrepreneurship. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. So, Ryan, why don't you, kind of expand a little bit on what the Wizard of Ads is?
I'm a partner within the Wizard of Ads that basically helps businesses build their brands and take them from unknown names or name recognition through to becoming a household name. And really what we're trying to do is elevate the brand presence within a particular company, but equally as much try to elevate the inside of the business to be able to deliver on those brand promises.
What does that mean?
Well, it all boils down to a thing that I learned back in 2015 from my partner, Ray Sagrin, who's also a Wizard of Ads partner. And he said, look, there's three big buckets here. There's the brand, there's the culture, and then there's the experience. And your brand is a representation of your culture and your experiences. Your culture is all of the things that your employees experience in your business, from your salespeople to your CSRs to your HR department or your accounting team, straight through to the buying experience. Now, when we care for those people at the right level in our culture, the buying experience is going to be elevated because they're the ones actually doing all the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those buying experiences and those buyer experiences and those employee experiences are the things that we are able to represent in the brand through our advertising, our websites, our policies, and all of the things that bring it all together. So in short, your brand really is your culture, and your culture really is your brand. And that's what's going to deliver the buying experience.
I love that. I absolutely, and I don't think that we put enough emphasis on, we as businesses are constantly talking about, oh, how do we look from the outside? But
Yeah.
if we're not focusing on how we act on the inside, how we are on the inside, how it won't translate no matter how hard we try, from the outside view, right? If we're not teaching that, if we're not constantly making sure that we're looking at that. And I remember I asked somebody one day, I said, well, how do you create a culture? And they're like, well, as you grow, no matter what, that culture will exist no matter what. It starts to create itself if you are not 100% diligent on staying on top of that.
Right.
So you will have a culture that exists no matter what.
Right.
So you have to make sure that you are actively making sure that that's a positive, happy, good feeling or experience that's being created.
I think of it like a petri dish, right? There's three different terms for culture, and if we were just to take the biological chemical, version of that for a moment, and we had a little petri dish, and we threw in a bunch of, positive little biomes and organisms and whatnot, we're going to have a healthy little petri dish full of things. But if we throw in a whole bunch of negative things and bad things, we're going to get mold and darkness and gloom and poison. And it's no different in your culture, right? When we start to recognize and relate the true laws of the universe, be it the chemical or biological or physics of the universe, what we realize is that the same thing happens in our business. And
Mm-hmm.
your friend is right that no matter what, there's a culture there. The question is, are you steering that culture, or are you a victim of that culture? It's also important to recognize that you don't just have one culture in your business. You have neighborhoods in your business. You have many
Mm-hmm.
cultures in your business. Your CSRs all kind of come together in a click. Your install department, your retail sales floor department, your different groups of birds of a feather flock together and tend to have a perspective of us against them a lot of the times, if you don't find ways to bridge those gaps and create a holistic solution that makes everyone feel a part of the team and able to communicate in healthy ways.
That's so interesting. Like I'm such a nerd because this really gets back into, a podcast that I had years ago, which is the HR, aspect of things. But
Yeah.
and we forget that this piece of it
Mhm.
directly correlates with the way that the individuals in your organization represent your company from the outside world. So
Yes.
if one of your salespeople, your CSRs, one of your anybody at that company is sitting in earshot of somebody who is considering buying
Hmm.
or is even in the market for a product that you have, and you are disgruntled and you
Mm.
are talking negative, oh God, you're working at this company, that person is not going to become your client.
That's right.
But if that person is talking about how great it is to work at that company, all of the sudden that person who needs plumbing services, and I refer to plumbing constantly, I don't know why, but because I always have a plumbing job at my house, that person all of the sudden may pull up their phone and go, oh, what company is this, and look it up,
Right.
and that person then may become a client.
Well, and if we were to just extrapolate exactly that, Leanne, to instead of it just being the person who's sitting next to you in the restaurant, to that exact same kind of thing happening on the radio, where 50% of the population of any city in America can hear your ad, and that ad sounds not so much like an ad, but a glimpse into what you stand for and what you stand against in your business and how you represent that, be it funny or endearing or maybe even sad
Mhm.
or frustrating, and exacerbating that pain and then resolving that pain in a 30 or 60-second ad that has a person going, huh, I mean, I don't need plumbing right now. I mean, Leanne always needs plumbing, but I don't need plumbing right now. But when I do need plumbing, if I had to choose between a random faceless group of people on Facebook or Google search, or looking up the Google Map Pack or the LSA local service ads and going, I guess I could just pick one of these random people, like a roulette
Mhm.
table, or I could pick the one that I kind of already have a feeling about, and then the feeling's kind of good. And when you are known, liked, and trusted before they need your thing, you're winning the game before the game plays is even started.
That's yes. That's what, yeah, yes, you are. And I constantly, the know, like, and trust is a constant conversation that
Hmm.
comes up. Obviously, on, this is a sales podcast. We constantly talk about the know, like, and trust factor. And when
Hmm.
people feel, when you invoke a feeling, negative, positive, like you said, if when it's a feeling, people remember. No
Yes,
matter
no one will remember what you say, but everyone will remember how you made them feel.
Right. And if you make them feel like they've connected with you in some way, in a positive way,
Yeah.
you've just triggered something in them that will go, oh, I remember. And that's how you've gotten them to look you up when
That's
they
right.
do have a need for whatever service.
It's going to be one of two. It's they're either going to look you up direct because you've been around long enough doing your
Mhm.
branding that people go, "Oh, I know that name," right?
Right.
We're past name recognition. Name recognition means I know your name, but I just don't care. Being a household name is I care about your brand and
Right.
you're my chosen brand of choice. This extrapolates into the sales process, it extrapolates into the buying process. All of this starts to interconnect. Heck, this is true when you're trying to find a mate, when you're trying to connect with your child, when you're connecting with other people in other communities with that you are a part of, be it your church or your community center or whatever. All communication, and people really like to make it complicated. And while it is complicated, there's first principles that we can trust on, that we can rely on first and lean into. So know, like, and trust is super important. You want to make your sales job easier, have them know, like, and trust you before they have you step into their house. You step into their house, or they step into your retail shop, or they call you on the phone for their insurance or legal services. Your average ticket's going to go up. Your conversion is going to probably happen first or second sit. It's going to happen faster, and your
Hmm.
profitability is going to go up. And our measures show that it's somewhere between 30 and 100%, depending on the product in the market, and that's a lot of money, right? And that's
Yeah.
how you grow your business, but that's how you make it easier for your salespeople to sell. As leaders, we have a responsibility to serve our salespeople at a higher level than we traditionally serve them.
Right. Right. So let's talk a little bit more about how you engage your clients to assist them with doing this. You had mentioned that you work with some of the trades and some of the,
Yeah.
so let's talk about, not only the cultural piece, but where do if I were to come to you and say, hey, Ryan, I'd like to hire you to assist me.
Yeah.
Where do you start?
Well, it all starts right with our core service. At Wizard of Ads, we write advertising that stands out, stands 600 feet above the crowd. We have national buying power, so we're able to buy basically mass media like TV, radio, billboards at about 27 cents on the dollar. So we pay for ourselves at basically a four times return, basically day one, right? Which means two things. One, we can't service everyone, so we can pick the people that we want to work with and look for the people who are aggressively looking to grow their businesses four times to 10 times their business out of the gate, and in some cases thousands of times of growth, depending on where they are and what the opportunity is. So first thing first is we're looking for right people with the right disposition and looking to care for their people at the right level, both as a customer, as an employee. When we see good operators that are looking to efficiently deliver the solutions that they provide, then we're going to go to work telling their story. So it really comes all from the marketing aspect. We're going to figure out that's the conduit in for everyone. Everyone's struggling with their marketing right now. Everyone's paying 30% more for their Google ads these days. Everyone's trying to figure out why Facebook isn't working the way it was working before. Those are channels, right? Those aren't actual marketing. Those are just um, tactics within marketing, right?
Hmm.
Marketing is all of the things: branding, sales activation, policy, how we answer the phone, the words that we use to name our business, the colors we choose, the shapes that we choose. All of these things have to do with marketing. And we look at it in a very holistic way because we're not associated or attached to any channel. We're what like I like to call media agnostic. We're not fussed about the channel. In fact, the channel is the last thing we need to worry about. The first thing that we need to do is go, what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to forex your business? Are you trying to stand out in a marketplace that has similar named or similar services as you, or products as you? And once we figure out what the goal is, then we can reverse engineer strategically how we're going to stand 600 feet above that goal and the competition within that goal. Once we do that, all of that is going to inform exactly what the creative is going to be. And all of that creative is going to inform how we're best going to be able to deliver it most efficiently on the different channels. So
Mhm,
as you see, the channels end up being the last one. And let's not forget that channels include salespeople, CSRs,
mhm.
trucks, storefronts, phone numbers, websites, all of those are channels. And we have to be ready to align all of those channels to speak and feel the same way so that it doesn't get weird along the way as people are investigating you, right?
Right, right. And it's funny that you say all of those channels because the way that I explain this to people, because again, we work in very, very similar roles, or what we do for people is, and when a client comes to me and says, we need help on our sales and marketing front. And one of the first things that I always do, especially when they come and they say, we want you to, do appointment setting. The first thing that anybody does, Ryan, first thing, right, is we go on social media and say, okay, what does this company look like? What do you as a salesperson look like? And there has been plenty of times that I've had to go back and say, you're really not sales ready.
Yeah.
And I just said it one day to a client and she goes, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, your LinkedIn says XYZ. Your Facebook, which is also tied to your business and you advertise, yeah, I can see it on your website where you have that link, says that you're still working at this company.
Hmm.
Then you have this that doesn't have a link that goes anywhere. It's just a dead end. I'm
Right.
like, you're not sales ready. Like I could go out and set appointments for you, but if people are looking you up, all of your social, it's not swimming in the same direction.
Right.
It's broken. And
Right.
she's like, oh, I didn't even realize. And I'm like, it's important. And people go, oh, come on. It's not that, they can find me on LinkedIn. And I'm like, yeah, they can. But if they're not a LinkedIn person, they're going to go to Facebook.
They are. Yeah.
They're going to go to TikTok. They're going
Yeah.
to go to Instagram. They're going to go to their preferred platform. And if you're not on it, that's okay.
That's
It's
right.
better to not be on it than have that be broken.
Right.
And they're
100.
like, okay. And so I dropped that, like, you're not sales ready one day. And that's become now like, are you sales ready? And it's literally become the terminology that I use because it's really simple and dumbed down
Hmm.
to people. They get it. Are you sales ready? And it's the exact same thing that you're saying, which is it is better to shut down a platform than to have it. And I'm sure you see this. For me to go onto a platform and look and say, oh, this is going to their previous job. Oh,
Hmm.
this phone number is dead. Oh, this email bounces because they're no longer at that company. If you're a business owner or a salesperson, and I consider every salesperson, you're running your own little mini business.
Hmm.
Like, even if you're working for a company, you represent that company and you need to brand yourself as the expert. And therefore, you're becoming like a little mini business. That's how you're going to become the great if you want to be a great salesperson.
Salespeople, I've always 100% supported being a sales guy my whole life. We are entrepreneurs. We are risk centric. We are performance oriented, and we are a business and have to think like entrepreneurs, not employees. And that does mean getting those all those ducks lined up.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, people just don't understand how how impactful your social can be,
Hmm.
positively or negatively. Same thing. I mean, we just obviously, um, this nation just went through the most crazy election ever with, and I'm not going to get into, but people don't realize, like, oh, I'm going to go put my political views out on Facebook. You very well may be alienating a large population of people. Now, if you
About half,
want
about half every time. Yeah.
to, right, right. Same with other topics. Now, if you're okay with that, that's absolutely fine. But understand the ramifications of doing that And some people are like, well, I didn't understand.
There is a consequence to everything, and some people perceive themselves as the virtuous one that needs to stand for something.
Hmm.
But there's time and place to stand for things, and there's, I think that if we all just orient back to first principles rather than the negotiables in life, right? Political parties are negotiables. Religion has negotiables in it. That's why there's many thousands of religions. There's core things that are non-negotiables in life, and if we just orient to that, and some of those non-negotiables being kindness, empathy, competence, a duty of care, honor, which is
Hmm.
lost in this world right now, then we're going to have an awful lot more success. Because look, people don't follow people who aren't going anywhere. And you can't go anywhere if you don't have a North Star. And a North Star doesn't move, right? So if a person is trying to say, I stand for something, you have to stand for it when it's inconvenient to you as much as you stand for it when it's convenient for you.
Right.
And that's fundamentally the difference between beliefs and values. When
Hmm.
you believe something, you can believe the equally opposite thing to also be true, right? So I
Hmm.
believe, as an example, that uh, freedom and responsibility are equally valuable things.
Hmm.
And depending on which side of the table you sit on, that will matter more or less at any given time. I
Hmm.
believe that justice and mercy are equally true.
Hmm.
But if I'm the accused murderer, I want mercy. And if I'm the victim's family, I want justice.
Right.
But what happens? What happens when the victim's family murders the murderer? Now what do they want?
Right.
Right? This is the difference between values and beliefs. And when we
Hmm.
when we really start to self-explore that as leaders and then stand for something in our businesses, even if we're just the salesperson, because there's no such thing as just a salesperson, that's a business, right?
Right.
And when we do stand for that, people are attracted to that. They will follow that. Values are the true value that people see when you're trying to build value. So if you want to be valuable to people, stand for something when it's
Hmm.
inconvenient for you.
That was really eloquently put.
Thank you.
I really like the way that you explain that. And because you're right, you that very, very well explained. And yes, it's people need to, and I'm not saying that you have to put a stake in the ground, but people want authenticity. They want somebody who's going to show that value. They want somebody who's going to resonate with them.
Hmm.
And they can't find that if you're not willing to give a little.
Right. I like to call it the flinch, right? When customers see you flinch, they know that you've done something that hurts a little, that's inconveniencing you a little bit. So, what can we do to show the flinch?
Yeah. And how do you work with your clients on that?
Everyone's custom. Everyone's a unique situation
Right.
with a unique set of skills that we have to figure out what matters to both the customer and what the company is ready to stand for and ready to stand against and willing to do operationally, because this all costs money and time and energy, and they have to choose what they're going to do. A lot of the companies that we start with, frankly, don't do anything special. We're
Right.
making interesting by making them interesting. Our standout clients, the ones that are truly exceptional, they're all doing something that makes them exceptional. One of my clients, they have less than 100 products in their price list, but sell at the same volume as their competitors who have many thousands of items in their price list. They are so good and efficient and simplified at selling that they can absolutely obliterate their competition through their operational excellence, through the true efficiency, the elegance, the curation of their inventory, their products, their protections, their price, and their payments, that they're able to quickly deliver a solution that makes the customer go, Oh, yeah, just that one. I have another client that is got 8 locations across the Carolinas that's branded around the dad figure. And what does dad say when the kid calls up at 3 o'clock in the morning with whatever problem it is? I'm on my way. And that's our brand promise. And that's exactly what we promote in our marketing. But that's also what they do operationally. They've set up their system, their operation to be very efficient, but very efficient to do the one thing that we promise consistently, right? We don't need to
Hmm.
talk about 24-hour service and always somebody, and we don't do on call for our plumbers.
Right.
But like all, no, none of that stuff. Like that's all just nonsense. Most of the time, it's about saying less, but meaning it more,
Right. And having that true core value built in
right?
and marketing that as being what they deliver.
Yep.
And that's we get sometimes and as an entrepreneur myself and working with entrepreneurs, we're so close to what we do that we overcomplicate everything. And sometimes the answer is the simplest thing that's sitting literally on the tip of our nose, but because we can't see it.
It's true. And look, Leonardo da Vinci said the ultimate sophistication is simplicity. And we see that hold true in products like Apple, who not everyone loves, but the majority of the planet loves, and at the end of the day have far exceeded the expectations. In Amazon's approach to ordering process and keeping it very easy to make the final order, to taking your price book down from thousands of items to under 100 items. All of these things are what get out of the way of
Right.
growth and scale,
Right.
right?
Right. Simplicity. People, we live um in a instant gratification world.
Yeah,
And sometimes the extra details that we think everybody wants, oh, here's a complete list of our catalog that's got the 1,000 products. Really? You know what? Sometimes I just want to go on there and be given two options. This
right.
one or this one. Yep,
Yeah,
I like that one. And I've learned this as being a mom. It's funny when you become a parent, you learn really quickly. Don't give a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old or even a 10-year-old a ton of options. You give them two, a banana or an apple. And
right,
they go, a banana. Okay. But if you give them banana, apple, strawberries, blueberries, they'll sit there and stare at you and go, I don't know. And
right,
it's like, really? Like, what? I don't get it. What do you want? And they're, I don't know. But
right,
all of a sudden, if you go banana, apple, banana,
right,
great. Like simple. And, and you give them the option because then they feel like they're getting to choose. And so you eliminate I didn't want that. Okay.
right,
Well, I gave you the option now. Okay. Now you chose it. But if you give too many, well, then they're like starstruck. And again, these are simple things in life that translate directly into what we as human beings need. Like it's just at our
Whether,
core. This goes
whether
back
you're
to
4 years old or 40 years old, frankly,
right.
the 40-year-old person really just wants to say, "Hey, do I get the blue car or the red car?" That's all I need to know. The blue one, please. Yeah,
Correct. Like, is this keyless entry or is this like I don't when it gets too complex, and this is why I don't like dealing with the government, right? This is why I don't have to this is why I hire an accountant for all of the complex things. This is why we have doctors and to fix us. This is why we have people who go to school for the really hard stuff
yeah.
because we don't want to deal with it.
There's a concept in physics called the third gravitating body. When you have two gravitating bodies that tug on each other, like the Earth and the Moon, the predictable path is pretty straightforward.
Mhm.
You can calculate that with a fair amount of ease. When you introduce a third gravitating body like a comet, the predictability of that comet is incredibly difficult to calculate,
Mhm.
mathematically speaking. Now, there's two roads that we can walk down with that. One is how it tugs on us emotionally, but it also applies to the variability of options. When I start giving you so many choices that the fourth and fifth and sixth option could end up breaking the first and second uh, place, I start to lose confidence as a consumer that this is the best choice. So, creating and curating your inventory and your pricing is absolutely crucial to serve your salespeople at the highest level. And as salespeople, the most successful people are the ones who do distill it down into a journey, a progressive set of buckets. I like to call it the four great walks in home services. Now, in New Zealand, there's the nine great walks in New Zealand, and there's just these beautiful things where you start off the day at the base camp and you walk all through these beautiful areas and you get up to this gorgeous, stunning vista and you see the magical big thing that you're going to see. And then on the way back, it's just as beautiful and just as stunning and just as wonderful of an experience down to the very place that you started at the base camp. Well, what I do with that is the exact same thing in home services. When I'm looking at um, five different HVAC systems. I'm going to start off with the most simplest of systems, and I'm going to walk them up through progressively more complicated systems into
Mhm.
the best system, the Lamborghini of systems, right? Not because I'm expecting them to buy anything, but they deserve to know that they're free to buy a Lamborghini of systems as a
Mhm.
consumer, whether they choose to buy a Lamborghini or not, right? And then walk them back down. Now, I walk them up in the product and protection of those systems. And then I walk them down in the price and the payment of those systems.
Mhm.
So I start small and I end small. So I'm empathetic in the way that I'm approaching it, but I'm also making it astoundingly simple for them to see all the important things along the way and choose what their favorite vista was along the way. Option
Mhm.
one through option five. When you make it that easy for the customer to go, I like option three the most, for whatever their
Yeah.
reasons are: service, dependability, economy, performance, appearance, whatever. Doesn't matter. What matters is what matters to the customer. And that's the
Right.
platinum rule. It's not the golden rule anymore. The golden rule is do unto others as we want to be done unto. The platinum rule is do unto others as others want to be done unto.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And at least half the planet doesn't want to be treated like an extrovert because they're
Mhm.
introverts, right?
Right.
And it goes on and on and on. But those are the things that we can cut through all of the clutter of trying to solve the six things that they care about in a product and just let them choose what's important by showing them an obvious set of solutions.
Very interesting. And yes, that is absolutely what it comes down to. And I have lost deals because I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to show them some of the add-on services. And then they get so overwhelmed with, wait. I don't think I need any of this. And then it's, okay, we're going to review this. And then I'm going, okay, but you said you were ready to move forward. And they're like, yeah, but there's so much other stuff that I want to look at. And it's like, oh crap.
Right?
Like,
That's right.
y- you just lost them because you're trying to upsell when in an
Well,
inappropriate time. They don't need
that,
it.
that's the magic right there, Leanne, is exactly that. I call it tantric selling. I just waited for you to drink to say that, see if I get a spit take. Tantric selling is the notion of delaying your gratification, your dopaministic urge to get the big whopper home run sale every
Right.
single time out of the gate, to sell the priority purchase, sell the thing they need, get them to say yes, get it over the curb, and then go back to get the rest of the sale wherever the rest of that sale might make sense based on serving the customer at the highest level, not you, the customer. You should never be selling anything that the customer doesn't need. That's
Right.
unethical. But
Right.
for example, in air conditioning, if you were to look at a whole air conditioning system, you've got the all of the bits and pieces. You can sell it in different configurations. I'm not going to get all complicated here. If we bought the air conditioner and they chose option 3, great. Job is done. Now the install is going on, and the old air conditioner's just been ripped out, and a new air conditioner is being put in. The box is kind of just making its way into place. Well, that's a great time for somebody to come in and look at the ductwork and the air handlers and how the cleaning, the air quality elements, how frequently the person changes their filter could factor into this and in solving their problem with a superior filter, be it electrostatic or a larger sized filter. They could be looking at heck, maybe even a duct cleaning because the old ducts are really quite dirty and we don't want all that dirt going into this brand new
Hmm.
system. And finishing the sale. Now we can do this incredibly ethically because now's the time to do it because we can lump it all into the financing right now and just make it infinitely more convenient for the customer. One of the things that we don't pay attention to very often when we're selling the old systems, which were often gas-based, into these new heat pump systems that the government is putting rebates on and encouraging people to do, requires new electric panels. Well, we should be considering those. If we're in California, we should also be considering whole home generation because the grid is so archaic that
Hmm.
there's a dramatic chance of you having your life support system, which is your air conditioner, go down because of your electrical system, which is your life support system's life support system, because it's no longer a luxury to have air conditioning and heating. It's absolutely a thing that people die from. I've been in offices listening to people who have said their wives just died. It's a real thing, and it matters to me to uh, represent ourselves in this industry, certainly home services, as essential service providers. Plumbers have saved more lives than any doctor will ever save in the history of saving lives. Plumbers, water, because if your water's not good,
Right.
you die.
Correct. Right.
Right.
If you're drinking poisoned water.
Right. Bad in so many different ways. That's Flint, Michigan, perfect example of a most recent time for Americans, but people overseas who are dealing with this and all of the disease that comes from that every single day, so it's a big deal enough that we need to recognize what matters in this world
Yeah.
is home services, which is why I really enjoy them the most. Now, our organization, Wizard of Ads, we service all kinds of different companies, retailers and professional services and
Right.
all those things. But um, my energy tends to focus on service-based businesses that are
Yeah.
providing services. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to wind down because we're coming to time. This conversation has just been so unbelievably amazing. You're a wealth of knowledge. But before we do, I want to give you your 30-second shameless pitch. So, Ryan, there you go. Your 30-second shameless pitch.
We're really just here to help people. We start with the marketing. We focus on that. If you have a company that's looking to 4 to 10x growth, we can come out of the gate saving you a heap of money, but also create an environment where you do become the household name, where people actually care about you and you win the game before the game has even begun.
That's awesome. And if somebody wanted to reach out to you, how do they go about doing that?
Three simplest conduits for me are on all socials. I'm Wizard Ryan Chute. You can find me pretty much on any platform under that handle. My services-based marketing side of the business is wizardofads.services. That's the URL. And my personal page is ryanchute.com. And you can find me at any one of those spots and interact with me and talk with me. Look into my brain with all our blog posts and all the other weird stuff that we put out there in the universe.
Awesome. And I will put those on the show notes. So if you are looking to reach out to Ryan, you will be able to find those right on the show notes. Thank you, Ryan, again, so much for joining me today. This has been an awesome conversation.
That's a treat. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful.
Thanks for joining us for Love Your Sales. For more, connect with Leighann on LinkedIn and be sure to subscribe to the show and leave us a rating and review. We'd love to hear what you think. Looking for a way to take your sales process to the next level? Visit us at loveyoursales.com to find out more about how Leighann can take your organization to new revenue heights. And be sure to join us next time for more great ways to love your customers so they love your sales.